I mean, what do you say about that? An absolutely terrible day at the office. Another 5-0, conceding 5 goals again against Brighton and Hove Albion. I want to get straight into your comments, actually, and then I'll kind of go through the game and what I saw. But I really appreciate, Blades fans being here after that, because it's probably the kind of game where you don't want to watch any other football. You don't want to watch Match of the Day. You don't really want to take anything else in to do with football. The Premier League this season can kind of have that effect. Is it the case, like Rob says here, of Holgate letting the entire side down and perhaps being the reason that we got beaten in the manner that we did? Do you think we'd have lost anyway? Perhaps it wouldn't have been quite the same. I actually thought we started all right before that red card, but Rob goes on, what a joke. He's done it before, absolutely. He has. And well, wish me luck. Wish me luck, because I've got to try and react to this. What was Holgate thinking? Blade Runner says, great name. Or maybe he just wasn't. And Sam Jenkinson, one of our members, thank you very much. Holgate should be counted responsible. It was a really poor challenge. He should come out and apologise to supporters. I think he probably should. I think he probably should. Yeah, another beyond bad day at the office. I think that's probably the right way to put it. So let's actually go through it then. Sheffield United against Brighton and Hove Albion again. I'll be honest. So this is what I wrote when I saw our lineup. Injuries are really going to be one of the main stories of this disappointing Premier League season. Also, Wilder said Gerbic would be the number one, and yet Wes Foderingham started. Now, I don't mind that, but why say Gerbic is the number one if he's clearly in a fair fight, as it should be, for the goalkeeper's position? So that one's kind of intrigued me. And if Gerbic isn't fit, why is he on the bench? What do you make of the lineup? Larouci in for Reece Norrington-Davis. We know that Reece Norrington-Davis injured with that hamstring injury. Wilder saying the other hamstring to the one he was out for 15 months with. We wish him nothing but the best. No Low. Good to see Ollie Arblaster and Billy Blacker on the bench, although they didn't get any action today. By the way, the injury Arblaster got on his knee that needed stitches. I mean, I know we heard it was a gash and it wasn't that bad. Have you seen the pictures? Looks absolutely awful. And he's apparently fit, but I mean, that's going to scar, looks like, for life. Archer failed a fitness test and Ben Brereton Diaz out, which is a blow. But my main concern pre-match was seeing all the pictures on social media. Chris Wilder back in a suit. As soon as I saw Wilder in a suit, I thought, that is it. We have got no chance. I mean, jokes aside, to think I actually had hope. If you watch my match preview, and if you don't watch the match previews, you should. Going into this one, I actually had hope. When will I learn? And the reason I had hope was we put in a really good performance at Luton. Brighton have never won at Bramall Lane in the Premier League. 2005 was the last time they got a win in the league against the Blades. Of course, all of that irrelevant, largely because stats like that don't mean anything, and also because they put 5 past us in the Cup just a few weeks ago. But another reason I had a little bit of hope, Brighton, a team with only 2 Premier League clean sheets all season. Because of the way they play, they can draw the opposition in. They like to play it a bit risky with that kind of rolling it out from the back, or the keeper just kicking it very close to a defender nearby him, because they try and keep possession rather than necessarily play long ball. But a team we drew with away from home, so I had a little bit of hope. Worth a go, I thought. Also, only scored 2 in their previous 5 away games. All of that completely irrelevant. And in fact, 7 minutes into the first half, a real chance, first chance of the game, a cross aimed at Welbeck, a ball on the right, crossed easily as well, with no block from Larouci. And before Brighton striker Welbeck could get there, Anel Ahmedhodzic, the captain, got a foot in, and the ball was going towards the goal. And it was actually cleared from the line and away from danger. But that kind of set the tone for how Brighton were going to play in this one. United was sitting deep early on, and Brighton had that familiar high line, short passing until a midfielder would launch like a ping, looking for a deep runner like Gross. And Wes actually had to play sweeper-keeper. And we saw him do exactly that on 10 minutes, clearing a long searching ball. He cleared it well. And I think what we saw early on was, okay, the Blades were going to play this way and maybe try and hit Brighton. And I thought we actually had enough about us. I thought, McAtee, he's definitely got it. He's got the technique. He's got the ability. We could perhaps cause him a few problems, although I didn't necessarily like the look of the lineup. But it was all out of the window because red card, Holgate, with his challenge on Mitoma at 11 minutes, it was initially a yellow. the first yellow of the match. With my notes, I wrote down our first yellow of the match. But I was surprised because Brighton players were incensed, and the VAR review was naturally going to come out because as soon as I saw it, this is serious. This is foul play. Holgate was very high, and he caught Mitoma on the knee. It was just out of control. What was he thinking? The yellow was changed to a red. No one could have any complaints over that. If it looked, if you were at the game and you thought, oh, maybe Holgate won the ball. If it looked like Holgate won the ball, that was actually his trailing foot that got the ball after the challenge on Mitoma's knee. So it was an awful challenge. But if you only saw it once and you only saw it live and you saw him going in and then the ball going in the same direction, it's because that trailing foot after the horror tackle got the ball. That doesn't matter. Wilder didn't even make eye contact, didn't even look at Holgate as he trudged down the tunnel because Chris Wilder was disgusted with that tackle. It was crazy from Holgate. I don't know what he was thinking so early on in the game. Game plan out the window. And I think, whilst you don't like to say it, defeat kind of felt inevitable after that because this is a really good Brighton team. They finished 6th last season. They're in Europe. It's a really strong side. They're no mugs. And we couldn't afford mistakes. We couldn't afford madness like this from a senior pro. This is Mason Holgate, who is well-versed not only in the Premier League, but well-versed in relegation scraps. But my Everton pal, I sent him a message straight away and I said, have you seen this challenge? And he said, yes. And he's done the exact same before for Everton, which I didn't know. But apparently he did it before for Everton against Tottenham. And I've since seen that challenge. A mate of mine sent me a video of it. And it's eerily similar. So you kind of say to professional footballers, if you do something once and you learn from it, fair enough. But if you do it again, I mean, there's just no excuses. And then we had the goal, Brighton on 19 minutes. This was felt inevitable, but it was a cross-come shot. So we had initially this like fear, this moment, this like, oh, Welbeck's going to get something on it, and Anel steering it towards goal, cleared off the line. Then we had a cross from Dunk on the left. Danny Welbeck again missed it, and Robinson got a touch, put it behind for a corner, and it was from the corner that Brighton scored. And it was that man Dunk again. He knocked it back across the goal, and Webster went for it. He didn't get it, and Buenote put it away. But criminal defending. I don't know how you can allow Dunk, one of the biggest men on the pitch, a free header at the far, but that's exactly what the Blades did. And that's nothing to do with going down to 10. I mean, maybe Wilder will come out and say that Mason Holgate was meant to mark Dunk at the far at corners, but surely you have to have a little conversation. We actually had quite a lot of time to regroup while all of that VAR was going on and assign new roles to players. That's sort of what you have to do in that moment. It was awful. And straight after that, Hamer, a great run. I was quite impressed. I thought, okay, we're not just going to sit back. We're going to have a go. And he put the ball into a dangerous area, won a corner. Verbruggen, though, when the corner came in, took it comfortably. And that very much was that, because Brighton really could have, probably should have had a penalty. Mitoma wanted it on 23 minutes. McAtee, he claimed, pushed him over. Stuart Atwell, the referee, not interested. But it was 2 hands on the back from McAtee, and it looked a clear penalty to me. Mitoma got his own back, a goal, had his shot in the box, saved by Wes on 24 minutes, but Welbeck followed up to make it 2-0. So it was that cross from the right, no pressure on the ball again, no one following the runner in Mitoma, a really dangerous player. Wes saved, but his parried save fell straight to the Brighton front man, and Welbeck simply couldn't miss. It was a disastrous start and so avoidable. It was 3 errors, and we were 2-0 down. One thing I think that's much more important in the game and worth mentioning was the round of applause. 27-year-old Molly Midgley sadly passed away after suffering from adenoid cystic carcinoma, a rare and often incurable form of cancer. The applause on 27 minutes was beautifully observed. You can search Team Molly Western Park Hospital on Just Giving to support. We then saw Willa Sula replaced on 30 minutes by defender Austin Trusty, as Wilder decided it was going to be a case of maybe damage limitation, maybe a completely different style. Sula really wasn't going to see much of the ball. Adingra, I thought he did really well in this game. It really did have the better of Yasser Larouci, not only in the first half, but actually for the entire game. And I think we thought we might get back into this game kind of just with hitting them on the break. That was really going to be the only way we were going to get back into it. And perhaps we thought we had a way back into it because Ben Osborne thought he'd scored a goal. It was disallowed on 44. It came from a corner. Stuart Atwell saying a foul. That's what he disallowed it for in the build-up. It could have been a foul, but I don't think it was. It could have been a foul by Robinson. Sousa could have had, maybe a handball. He's always getting handballs either given for or against. Osborne could have been too close to the keeper. Could have said he was interfering with the keeper. We were. But for me, it was no foul in there. Osborne offside. It was the VAR check, and the ball fell to him. It did come off a Brighton player in Buenote, but Osborne had been offside before that and in front of the keeper prior to that, and the ball coming off the Brighton player was not a deliberate act. All a bit confusing, and I never had any hope that this would be given, and there was no real surprise. 7 minutes then after that added on for the end of the first half. Standard Premier League fare, 7 minutes added on at the end of a mistake-riddled first half. I hate modern football. We went into halftime, and I think a lot of Blades were just very much resigned to it. Fair play, each and every one of you that stayed, and back to the lads for this. We saw Igor and Jakob Medea on for Brighton for the second half, kicked off in the sunshine. Larousse replaced by Brooks on 63. Osborne then played left wing back. But it was a second half, really, of Brighton largely controlling things, having a few chances, and the Blades trying to hit them on the break. Like there was that one moment, I think it was a Wes direct, long ball actually. McAtee went through with two defenders to beat, and the defenders sandwiched him out of it. And also Wes made a few good saves, some straight at him. It was just really disappointing. And the third goal was an own goal. And if there's one player I really, really would not wish this on, it is Jackie Longthrow, Jack Robinson. Jack Robinson on his 300th career appearance. It was a cross from the left from the impressive Matoma on 75 minutes. And Robinson had his head in his hands, as did Chris Wilder, as a lot of us did, as Robbo got the crucial touch and put it past Wes. It was game, set and match. Ansu Fati, what a player he is, by the way, at 76. On for my man of the match, Matoma. Adingra, a lot of people could also say will be given that title, and that's absolutely fair. And then we saw a fabulous goal from the Ivory Coast AFCON champion, Adingra, on 78. He passed it into the back of the net on that right-hand side. It was at this moment that I messaged my cousin, because my cousin's young daughter attended her first Blades match today. So excited. We were all, as a family, just really pleased she was finally going. I've tried to take her before. The general feeling at full time, she's not going to rush back. Not going to rush back at all. We saw Brewster, Norwood and Tom Davies on for Osborne, McAtee and Hamer on 79. I actually have to say, I didn't think this entire game could be any worse than the FA Cup game against Brighton, but it was. Because at least we scored twice in that one. And, Holgate being out now, also, that has ramifications for the run-in. Very much brought in because we needed a defender. We've got Basham, we've got Egan out. Who else can Wilder bring in? Hands very much tied. It's what's available. And he went with a player that he's coveted for a long time. I don't know why. Stupinian on for Welbeck on 81 for Brighton. And heck of a missed header from Anel on 85. If this game was 0-0, we'd all be talking about this because it was an open goal. He was only a few yards out. It was an absolute shocker. And then it didn't really matter, but, goal, a second for Adingra. Again, we let in 5 at home. This one on the 86th minute, pass through the middle, then out wide to the right, back in the middle, Gross to Adingra. His shot deflected, looped in at the far post off Trusty. Ferguson attempted to get a touch on the line, but I thought that was Adingra's goal. And that, is 65 goals conceded by the Blades after just 25 games, the worst tally in Premier League history at this stage in the 38-game season. We are on pace. I've done the maths to concede 1 million goals. What did you make of that defeat? It's the hope that kills you. And I had a little hope after Luton. Let's go through it, and I'll try and avoid the swear words. Dublin Blade, it was always going to be difficult. 11v11, you're absolutely right. It was a matter of time after that. Last time I saw defeats like this. Yeah, absolutely. I mean, you are right. Action Location. Good name. When we went down to 10, it was game over. Having said that, our goal, it hit defender's shoulder and second defender's head. Ozzy has played on, but Oliver's on VAR. Michael Oliver on VAR. Say no more. Peter says, loans go back. We're not even good enough for the championship. I don't know about that. I mean, I think we saw against Luton, who I also think will be a championship team next season. If they're not, they've got the players of a championship side, adding Ross Barkley, he won't. He's too good for the Championship. But we saw what we can do against what I think is largely a Championship side. So we might be all right. We've had a few more awful games. What the hell is going on with our defence? More holes than a Swiss cheese. Yeah, I mean, it really was an absolutely terrible tackle from Holgate. Simply embarrassing. Don't care if we're down to 10. You can't ship 5 goals in 3 consecutive home games. You really can't. Never seen a team capitulate as much as we do. Bean the Blade, also a great name. Holgate shouldn't play for us again. I've seen a few people say this on social media. What do you think of that? Should Holgate ever play for Sheffield United again? Back-to-back 5-0 home defeats at home. It's unacceptable. Hope we are well in advance of planning a rebuild in the summer. A lot's going to depend on if there's a new owner. You know, if we get new ownership that's actually got some money, and that's all football is nowadays. Let's not kid ourselves. The days of is it Jack Walker was his name, the Blackburn Rovers guy? You know, local boy done well, buying a club and taking that team to the Premier League champions. Those are long gone. You need billionaires. King for a day, very poor. Only one player can take anyone on. It's McAtee, isn't it? Any hope for a Premier League survival miracle is now officially over in my book. Sadly so. I think Mr. Vancouver is right. Take Holgate's wages and refund all those poor sods who paid to watch that humiliation. Yeah, or donate it as well, as we've already spoken about a little earlier. Would like to change from 5 at the back formation next season. Look how much damage wingers do to a team. I do think wingers can get the best of this formation, but we've also seen this formation really do well in the past. I think it's not throw the baby out with the bathwater. I think it's a lot of it down to the players. I just got home. Robbo didn't deserve that OG. Yeah, absolutely right. Such a shame about those first 2 goals. Absolutely spot. All avoidable, as I was saying when I was going through them. Wes was okay, in case anyone cares. Still wouldn't let him play next game. At this point, just play those who want to stay. I think that's probably a fair point. You know, Wes, you might say, if Wilder goes, right, Wes, you're now my number one, he probably will want to stay. Give him a new contract, give him the money he wants, and have a proper contest between the 2 keepers. But if it's going to be Grbic, give it Grbic, because like you say, we've got to go with what we're likely going to have next season. So no way is this Wilder's fault. Holgate got sent off. I actually think when we come out of the traps, first half and second half, under Wilder, we kind of look good. And that's down to the manager, because that'll be what's ringing in their ears. Like, we seem to start quite well. Palace, we started really well. Luton, we started really well. You know, we actually started the second half in this game, I say well, you know, better than we finished it. Radical changes needed. They are, Alan. They are. But we actually don't have the means to do that. I don't just mean because we don't have any money. I mean, it's the transfers window's closed. We've got good young players, but I don't think you want to throw young players into a demoralizing season. Could affect them longer term. Luke Van Dome in the house. Used to do our fan cams. What a legend. Do you think there's a way we can withdraw from the league? I hate the Premier League. I hate modern football. I hate a lot of what it's become. I try not to give my money to the Premier League. I try and support Sheffield United financially as well as I can, but I certainly don't want to go to away games in the Premier League. I think it's all rotten. It's not the football I like. It's not the football I want to watch. All down to Holgate stupidity. Bring in Sam Allardyce. Just leave that there. You can let me know your own thoughts on that. We are not going straight back up if this continues. You know what? I said this when Wilder got the job. The real test is actually not this season. It's how we start next season. It'll be the business done in the off-season, and it'll be what Wilder does. You know, judge him after the first 15, 20 games of next season. Holgate is absolutely stupid for that challenge. He really, really is. And I was so gutted when it happened. So gutted. What happens now? Massive clear out. I think there will be a big clear out. I think there will for a number of reasons. This is just what happens after a shower. No one wants him. All right. I mean, the thing is, right, Everton are a relegation rival who could still face a 10-point deduction, 20 in total. They are clearly not concerned about Sheffield United getting out of this, because you wouldn't send one of your own players to a team fighting for the exact same thing as you if they had any thought that it would be us surviving at their expense. You know what I mean? Like, the manager is irrelevant, Chef Paul. We have championship players, except McAtee, and he's not even our player. Each player has to have a perfect game, otherwise we get hammered. So I think what I would look at with this, because I often read people citing what went wrong at the start of this season. Look at Burnley. They didn't. This is what Ben on Bladespod said. This isn't my original thought. They didn't lose their best players, and they spent a lot of money. they've got the same amount of points as us, right? Do you know why? Because the Premier League is really hard. It's really hard to stay in, and you do have to get it right. You have to get it right from the top, as in the ownership, right the way down. We didn't. We all, as Blades fans, saw at the pre-season that it wasn't quite right. We lost key players. We're not going to get into the reasons why. And the players we brought in, some of them very, very questionable. You know, Benny Traore, if he was going to be the answer, why is he out on loan at Nantes? If you go into a gunfight with a water pistol, says Adam, I like where this is going, it gets messy. I mean, arguably, a gunfight is going to get messy regardless, whatever you're using. Before the season started, we were down. The recruitment was woeful, but investment was outrageous. So sort of going on a similar sort of path to what I was just saying there. What happens when you run down players' contracts? Do you know what? I hate this contract thing. I think it's a bad idea to have contracts. I think, footballers are humans. Financial stability is actually an important thing. You know, I've worked as a freelancer in my profession, and when I've done that, I've been very, very concerned about what's going to happen at the end of the year, and my head's not always been in it. And since I've been on a contract, I've been much more a long-term contract. I've been much more relaxed. I think that's the same for a lot of people. I mean, some people, and everyone's different. Some people need an arm around the shoulder from a manager. Some need a rollicking. Some players react to the pressure of you've got to play well for a contract. I remember Gus Uhlenbeek. We go way, way back. I remember Gus Uhlenbeek. His best performances for Sheffield United were when he was playing for a new contract. But for other people, it just doesn't work. So you can't have that as a kind of blanket way of approaching things. And actually, when Prince Abdullah said that to myself and Nick when we were interviewing him, I really wanted to pick up on that. But I got to say, when there's two of you doing an interview, it is hard because we were going through questions submitted by you, the fans, and we were kind of just going through them because we didn't want to miss anything out. It wasn't really an opportunity to kind of go, hang on, let me just, because it ended up being a 4-hour thing. But anyway, maybe one day we'll get a chance to properly go. I don't agree with that. Send Holgate back to Everton first thing Monday morning. I don't know if they'll want him. Back-to-back relegations incoming. I don't agree. I don't agree with that. I do agree that it was embarrassing, but I think, as we've said, mitigating circumstances, Holgate ruining the whole game plan. Wow, is that right, Andy? That is absolutely awful. I mean, RND, I feel so sorry for him. Max Lowe, obviously I feel sorry for him, but that guy, he has had so many injuries. He never seems to get a consistent run, and that he might just be an injury-prone player. Our very own Darren Anderton. And you have to take sentiment out of it, and you can't carry players that are going to be injured all the time. We need players available. We're down to 2 left wing-backs of our 70, Osborne and Larousse. Never wanted to see Holgate play again. He's done Everton a massive favour. That's sort of what I was kind of alluding to. I wouldn't be surprised if what he did. No, it won't be deliberate to get his club Everton advantage. Absolutely not. He's just made a stupid challenge. He probably thought, I'll get the ball and I'll take the man out and I'll let him know I'm here. And he just got it completely wrong, if that's what he was thinking. But it was brain dead. And I think he should come out. I think more players should, when they've made mistakes. I think referees as well should come out and explain themselves. I really do think he should come out, and I think he should apologise to the fans and to the staff and all his teammates, because that was it. 11 minutes, game over. All we can do is put this season down to experience. I think a lot of people are going to learn from this. There's been so many mistakes made right throughout. And if you don't learn from this, that's the concern. Like I've already said with Holgate, he's made that challenge before. He's made it before for Everton against Tottenham. You've got to learn. And I always think you allow people one, but what was it George W. Bush said? Fool me once, you can't fool me twice, you can't fool me again. Really missed those Tuesday, Wednesday championship games. Yeah, that sort of Saturday, Tuesday action. It's what it's all about. It feels like a long wait in the Premier League between matches, and when you've lost and you want to put it right, it feels even longer. 15 goals conceded in the past 3 home games against the team as well. Against the team as well who concede goals. So I think Trusty has been solid. Now, that's a good shout, Carl, because he does get quite a lot of stick, Trusty. Certainly when I go on social media, which I wish I didn't do. I particularly hate Twitter. I get some really, really horrible comments on Twitter in my DMs, people threatening me and stuff like that. And when I read about Trusty, I'm thinking, yeah, he's been quite poor more recently, because when he first came in, I thought he was really good. I thought, why isn't this guy been starting? I didn't really understand it, but he hasn't maintained that. But he has looked at me today, looked better than Mason Holgate, obviously. Most demoralizing season ever. Even the Atkins season was obviously terrible, but we weren't getting bad each week. I mean, that is true. The Atkins season was bad because we were so much further down. You know, we shouldn't never have been in League One. We certainly shouldn't have been there as long as we were. But you're right. We obviously won more games under Atkins. But I was very concerned. I was very concerned under Atkins because I thought this looks like we could be stuck here for a very long time. I mean, we're in a much better position now in terms of financially. You know, we're not in huge amounts of debt. We'll see what happens in the off-season. It is going to be really, really difficult. We're going to have to get it right. We're going to have to make so many clever decisions and do things properly as a football club. This is going to be the biggest off-season, I believe, ever for Sheffield United. We're going to have to get it right. As always, thank you for watching. We'll see you on the internet next time.